You start that stream.
Yeah, it's 9:30. Okay. A lot of shit. A lot of crappy news happening. This gaming news for the past few days.
I heard you had to cancel your game.
Huh? Oh yeah, I did. I had to
You
cancel
know,
a damn game.
you
Yeah,
know the PS,
we're at 9:17 now.
the PS4 version of Battlenet 3 is still far outselling the Switch version.
Yeah.
Simply because if you look at the specs for the games, um, it runs at 60 frames per second, and there's a VR mode for it.
Yeah,
And
but the
of course,
VR more is useless if they're censoring a whole bunch of shit.
I understand, but at the same time, the Switch does of course has no VR mode. Um,
Well, did you know
it runs,
they're having a
it runs
VR
at
mode? It's
30.
called the Labo VR.
Oh, the Lambo VR, right. That's a totally different product, though. You know that. You
I
know
know, but it's still their version of VR is shoving a screen to your face.
that. In a cardboard box.
Yeah.
In a cardboard box.
Oh yeah.
What music shall I listen to?
I could put Skyrim music in the background.
It's fine. You don't put your own music on. Stranger Things electro remix dance. What the fuck is that? Oh, I swore on the stream. Excuse me, all you children out there.
Yeah, all the children's out there. That is like pretty
Because
much a quarter.
now,
Now a lot of them are like quarter of my. I mean, 1/3 of my age. I'm like, holy shit! I feel old. I feel old.
all right, why don't you do your introduction for
Uh,
our vodcast with me without
we got Ziggy. How you doing? Hey, Jasu. Yes, Carlos's part time. Greeting, Hammer. Okay. What's going on? What are you doing today? It was a podcast for about 2 hours. Just letting you guys know. I'm Lancelot from Ashley Lancelot Show. We have Ashley from the show as well. Down there, link is a Ashley Art Fantasy. Very Monolith of Dark Tide Enterprise. We're also going to be teaming up to do the RPG channel, and whenever he wants to give me the username and password for that. And
the Lancelot and Grimm Eternal RPG Network. It will be epic, everyone. Stay tuned.
And we have Carl. I think you have a channel that plays Magic the Gathering and jamming guitar. You can just click on his name and you can get to his link on the chat.
Or
yeah, you can just click on me, I guess.
Yeah, until you send me the.
You could be a good man and post the link.
Yeah, every Sunday night we do a podcast about gaming, anime. In the end, we have Grib is a PhD in astronomy. He knows the space and everything.
The Expanse, the Beyond.
Okay. A lot of gaming news this past week.
Sure. Why don't you start us off with whatever you feel we should start with?
Let's see the what today.
You had to cancel a game. Remember that.
Oh yeah, I had to cancel one game. Dead or Alive 3 Extreme Scarlet. It's basically like the better, like a newer version of the one I have, the Extreme Fortune. I believe it's the same game, but just a lot more stuff added to it. But yeah, Sony was censoring it on PlayStation 4, so I canceled it. I am not buying anything on Nintendo Switch because there's a lot of game that's high demanding, and I don't know how they're going to do it on the Nintendo Switch. So we're gonna wait for the review for that before you go buy that on the Switch.
So this is what we know about the performance issues. We know that the PS4 Pro, the game runs at a locked 60 frames per second, and it has a PSVR mode. So on the Switch, we know that it's locked in at 30 frames per second, and of course no VR, because there's no VR on the Switch. So those are the distinct, the difference in the performance. I mean, clearly it's going to look better and perform better on a PS4. But
Problem is if I'm paying $84, it literally costs $84 because they're shipping it from Japan, and it costs a lot of money to ship from Japan, and basically it costs a lot. It goes, if I'm paying $84, especially $60, I don't want my crap censored.
Wait, why is it coming from Japan?
From PlayAsia. PlayAsia is a Chinese company, but it's for American.
So there's no Western
Have
release.
like
of this game.
distributors? Oh,
Yeah.
There's
okay, that makes sense.
there's no North American release. There is a English dub version which was made and is available on PlayAsia for the normal price of a game on PlayAsia, which is a lot.
Like $74 plus plus shipping. It all get is $84.
Yeah, so it is coming. Every copy of it that was being shipped to the United States is coming from Japan.
Mm-hmm. All it is, all they add is a subtitle. But now Sony is censoring it. I don't know how many people already canceled it when they found out about that. Now this game's coming out this week on the 24th of March.
So the sales charts right now show that the PS4 version is literally outselling the Switch version 4-1. Now, there's a couple things in that number there, right? One of them being that the PS4 version for this game was announced a long time ago, and the pre-orders for the PS4 version of this game have been available for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just going to throw out that, of course, it's going to have far more pre-orders accumulated than the Switch version.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, even after the Switch version was announced, the PS4 version has continued to outpace it in pre-orders to the West.
When did this announcement?
And in Japan.
When was the announcement made about the censorship? Was today that it
found
out?
No, it was the couple articles came out about three days ago.
Uh-huh.
And we've known for a while that the game was going to get hit on the Sony platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a surprise. It's not a new thing that this game got hit. But what happened 3 days ago was that even more censorship came out, and it was revealed that Sony was actually taking modes out of the game. One, I think, being a bikini mode.
Uh-huh.
So bikini models are all taken out of the PS4 version.
Yeah, and I think that's going to basically kill the RPG. I mean, the Dead or Alive genre, because remember, these games are people buy these microtransaction skin and everything else is for fan service. That's basically why they make a lot of money from. A lot of company make a lot of money from fan service. So if Sony is gonna cut them off, they're gonna have to release it on another system like Nintendo Switch. But problem is that Nintendo Switch is not that as powerful as you know people think it is. Yeah, it's cool they could play Doom and stuff, but problem is that you gotta lose a lot of other stuff for it to play.
I think most people, the general populace knows that the Switch is less powerful. I don't think that's an unknown fact, but
yeah, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of
because there's a lot of games I don't buy for the Switch. For example, Ys 8.
Right. Ys 8 clearly had some hiccups in the graphic frame rate compared to the
if it's a AAA game, it's like Wolfenstein 2 has stuttering problems on the Switch. Doom was controls was good, but still had lag issues, and then the graphic downgrade from it as well.
Well, it was not a graphic downgrade; it was a resolution downgrade.
Well, resolution is graphics downgrade.
They're not exactly the same. But anyway, what Doom and Wolfenstein use is called dynamic resolution scaling.
Mm-hmm.
So what it would do is anything that was drawing in a distance, it would give it a terribly low resolution.
Yeah.
And as you get closer to an object, it would scale the resolution up, which I think can cause a little slowdown in the game. But I didn't see a lot of slowdown. But clearly, Doom on the Switch doesn't hold a candle to, say, the Xbox One X version of Doom with the enhanced X patches I mean, that's clearly the best looking version of the game, and it's beautiful. But there are limitations to the. I guess the point being is yes, there are limitations to the Switch. But if you design a game from the ground up just for the Switch, that might mitigate the problem. Where in the case of Dead or Alive Scarlet, right, that game was originally designed for PS4.
Yeah.
The Switch is a port, so maybe if the game would have been designed for the Switch from the get-go and not the PS4, we wouldn't see these graphical hiccups.
Yeah.
We wouldn't see this problem with the resolution and the frame rate.
That's why I'm gonna wait like a week or two, because when Devil May Cry 5 came out, it was like next day is like, oh, here's a patch for censoring it. If I knew about that, I wouldn't buy it for the PS5 to get for the Xbox.
But hey, the Devil May Cry issue is very complicated because it's a mix between what did Capcom do, what did Sony do, what did Capcom submit to the ESRB, did someone make a mistake? There's a lot that went into that, but clearly there was censorship involved because we know that one of the scenes is still not censored on the Xbox and the PC. But anyway.
So yeah, it's just one of those things. If the censorship keep coming, these companies are going to be losing a lot more money. Hello, CN. How you doing, gamer?
I thought they would have learned their lessons from the 90s of what Nintendo did and how it backfired.
Oh, it's gonna backfire. I think a lot more games will be coming out on the Steam. I can tell you that right now. A lot more games, Steam or Epic Game Store.
Devil May Cry's on Steam.
Yeah.
Wait, is it on Steam?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 5 is on Steam.
A lot of these Capcom Dead or Alive stuff game goes on Steam. The volleyball one is not on Steam though. But I bet it's gonna move to Steam because if they can't make money on the PS4 and they don't know that the Switch is not that powerful, they might just put their games on a Steam or Epic Game Store and just sell it there.
Well, look, I mean, it might be a good idea to do that, but what's the size of the audience on Steam for some of these games? Now, mind you, I understand there's a lot of anime-based games and Japanese RPGs that do come out for the PC. But let's look at this from the perspective of fighting games, right? And almost every fighting game today does also release on Steam. But how many people really buy it on Steam? I know one of the things that was referenced in a DTE video not too long ago.
Wait a second. Someone's calling me.
Anyway, what was brought up was that there's only 1,000 people playing Dead or Alive 6 at a time. I mean, yes, part of that is the controversy behind Dead or Alive 6. But part of that is that some genres of games, including Dead or Alive, don't do that well on Steam, even when ported to Steam.
Yeah, well,
so,
it's one of those things.
How was that?
That's my mom sweeping.
That was a sweep?
Yeah, hey, Super. It's just basically it's like people won't buy it. Protestation. They might wait till later on, and they might just put a patch to uncensor it because they can do that. Another thing is that I don't really. I can see Dead or Alive and Sana Kagura, those type of games being on jeopardy, and they have to pick a side. They think that censorship will be the new era and stuff, but it's really not. Every company done this so far, and it did not look good.
It did not go well. It lost them a lot of money.
Yeah, because they're known for a certain thing. It's like mostly fan service. I don't really see people playing competitive Dead or Alive 6 fighting tournament.
So they're going to be. So Evo has announced that it is going to be a side event, but of course we already know that it was kicked out of the main event. Some people argue that Evo had no intentions of putting it in the main event. I don't believe that. I think they're wrong. I think that it was intended to be in the main event originally, and that for various reasons, including the Japanese jiggly boobly stream, um, caused Devo to drop it. There's a lot of people that I've talked to that have talked to me, and they argue that um, no, they never intended to have it in their lineup. But regardless, it's not there. But it will be inside events at Evo.
Okay.
But you're right. Our people are serious competitive fighting game players. Are they going to take Dead or Alive 6 seriously? No, I don't think so. I think you're right.
Because because the best competitive fighting game that everyone plays is Mortal Kombat. That's coming out.
Well, even Mortal Kombat is one that in the past, because of the fact that RNG is a bigger part of the game than say Street Fighter. It's also been less of a competitive game. It's only recent that Mortal Kombat actually has become kind of a competitive fighter, and I know that Mortal Kombat 11 was kind of designed to be a competitive fighter, which is still a switch from their attitude from NetherRealm. I can't speak to that. NetherRealm's attitude in the past, where they weren't overly concerned about the competitive nature of the game, but I guess now they are. And hey, I just want to throw out there that there's no censorship happening in MK11. They're not censoring anything. What went on with MK11 was an art direction change. And the art direction change,
Get back with you, Steve.
Is being blamed on story elements. And I say blame because I say, hey, but the characters fit into the story. But I think what's happening here is we're living in a day and age that the story is being preempted with a narrative to be able to explain and justify art direction changes. So yes, the art direction change might have something to do with the story, or it does have something to do with the story. But they preemptively write the story to be able to include that into the game. Another company that does this is Wizards of the Coast from Magic the Gathering, of course. And not all of their art falls under this for their cards, but they have been known to add elements to a story so that they can present a character in new and different art. It's happened.
You mean make it ugly?
Yeah. Well, hey, yeah. The opinion is they're taking a lot of feminine features off characters and making them ugly, and
that is true. That is 100% true.
You're talking to an artist right here. I'm like, why does this person look like a man? I thought this was supposed to be a girl.
And Wizards has done that. They've definitely taken a few female characters.
They've taken all the female characters. There isn't any left. There's none left. There won't ever be any more. Magic the Gathering is gone.
So we have 2 people that wants to join the stream for podcasts for next week Sunday. Steve Strevo and Amarai Thompson.
Yeah, I mean that's something we should continue off the show right now.
Well, I'm just telling them next week Sunday we can get them in. So on Discord. So okay, how about Street Fighter 2?
So talking about the olden days, I'm going to say the olden days, right? Yeah, the olden days of censorship. So all of this kind of happened. So you know what? Actually, Lance, we can trace this all back to the early 80s in Dungeons and Dragons, right? When Dungeons and Dragons came out, think about all the hate it got. It was called
the Satanists, the devil worshippers.
It was called a satanic cult, right?
Yeah. Oh, like,
remember Mazes and Monsters with Tom Hanks?
I believe so.
The movie Mazes and Monsters?
Yeah.
It came out in the early 80s. It was one of his earlier movies. And it was basically about a college student who went crazy playing an RPG that was modeled after Dungeons and Dragons. Granted, it's not a bad movie. It's an okay movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it did
I've
not
never
help. Yeah, it's an older one, Carl. It's in the early '80s. It did not help the perception of D&D in culture at that time. You know, it was being called a cult game, and that movie kind of helped solidify that. Of course, as time goes on, that kind of disappeared. But flash forward to the early '90s. What caused the creation of the ESRB? Do you remember, Lance? What game it was?
Was it when Mortal Kombat came to the arcade to the console and took all the blood out?
No, that's not the creation of the ESRB.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Night Trap.
Huh?
Night Trap.
They released that port to the Switch.
Yeah, they did, and Limited Run Games actually did a physical copy of it. Yeah. And as far as old versions, there was the Sega CD version, then there was the Sega CD/32X upgraded version. I actually own that one.
Mm-hmm.
But Night Trap caused such an outrage. It was talked about in Congress, and the ESRB was formed because of Night Trap. Now, not long after that, of course, there was a controversy around Mortal Kombat. They were saying super violent in the arcade, and when it came out for the actual console systems, as you and Ashley have rightly mentioned, there was, the Sega version, which was a little downgraded on graphics, did not censor out blood or fatalities, and how fatalities are done. But the Super Nintendo version, and there was no way to put them on, did censor out blood and certain fatalities.
I believe the blood was green.
No, it was no blood. There was nothing.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah.
And that just kind of perpetuated the whole idea of why people wanted the ESRB. And of course, around the same time, I'll throw this one out there, Doom was being blamed for all the gun violence in the world.
Uh-huh. I have the original Nintendo gray Nintendo gun for Duck Hunt. That got banned and had to be changed to orange.
It didn't get banned. That was a choice by Nintendo. They were asked to do that. So you are right, they were asked to do that.
I have the orange and the gray one. Lance, you got Parasite Eve? I'll buy it if you do. Yes, I do. I have it in Japanese.
I have Parasite Eve too, and guess what? They're my games.
And I have Parasite Eve on the PlayStation TV thing too that I bought. That's what.
So
here's a question about Devil May Cry 5 and Witcher 3 and Nintendo Switch.
Devil May Cry 5 would be very, very difficult, if not next to impossible, to get on the Switch. I'm not going to say things are impossible. I'm going to say it'd be very difficult to do.
Okay, Capcom.
It's better buying it on the Xbox.
Capcom is very iffy with the Nintendo Switch right now, if you haven't noticed.
Technically speaking, it would be very difficult to do.
Yeah.
The Witcher 3, there's no indication from CD Projekt Red that they have any interest right now in.
Yeah, and it's gonna take up too much space because 64 gig plus the patch and DLC. So you need at least to have another like 30 to 40 gigs on the hard drive just to get all the Witcher game in one.
The Witcher 3 would require a 128 gig cartridge.
Yeah.
And those are not standard from Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
They are available, right? But it would increase the cost of the game. But doesn't matter anyway because every game that comes out for the Switch has the Nintendo tax, right? We all know what the Nintendo tax is. It's that games that are $20 or $30 on another system are literally $60 on the Switch because it's Nintendo. For those of you out there that don't know that, we refer to this as the
Jake says The Witcher 3 is awesome. I have never played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it either.
Is it something that I would be interested in?
It's
pretty good. I heard it's pretty good. Like I have it, I just haven't played it.
Steve,
somewhat similar to. Why are you tapping in Discord on the screen?
I was answering.
The Witcher 3 is similar in many ways to Skyrim, but the combat system in The Witcher 3, I mean, it's really good in Skyrim, so there's more to it. Now, in The Witcher 3, which is an open world game, there aren't. I know that even Skyrim itself didn't have elaborately large cities, unlike Oblivion, which had the giant imperial cities. But The Witcher 3, the world is mostly populated by small towns. There aren't like giant cities. But it's still an open world game. It's still a lot of fun. But you are locked into playing
a certain character, yeah.
Yeah, you are locked into his story and his narrative. That's fine for me. I don't mind that. Some people like their open world RPGs a little more open, meaning they would more like, they want a generic character like Skyrim. One of the reasons why you have the difference between a game like Doom and a game like Halo, right? In Halo, most of them you're Master Chief, right? In Doom, you're the Doom guy, right? The Doom guy is anyone. Your Doom guy is just that guy, just the guy that happened to be the one that was there and had to pick up the gun and save the world. It could have been anyone. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been Carl. It could have been anyone.
I thought it was The Rock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought it was.
Carl, I'm a fan of that movie. Did you like that movie? I liked that movie.
I like that weird video game scene they had in the first person character.
Oh,
I remember that.
Well,
yeah,
that
was pretty cool.
They're bringing a new Doom movie. It would be a female lead.
It doesn't matter.
Of course it would be. Of course it would be.
I guess it doesn't matter. As long as
the trailer looks just horrible.
As long as it's not a female lead because of narrative, but Doom guy could be a female. It could be. There's no Doom guy is generic.
No, it is generic. I'm just saying the trailer looked very awful. If you haven't watched the trailer, you guys should watch it. It looks really bad. It's like CGI wise, it's like
it looks worse than a B-rated movie.
It looks worse than the Doom. It looks worse than the Doom movie that came up before.
College films that film kids do in college to get into, that whole photography film and thing and become a.
It looks that bad.
Yeah, it looks that bad.
I haven't seen it.
It looks like a college kid film.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. So the budget for it must have been low.
Yeah, it's because I don't know why every video game adaptation that they make into Hollywood movie sucked so far.
Tomb Raider was okay.
No, that movie sucked too. I'm sorry. It sucked.
I liked the Doom movie, but that's my opinion. I like a lot of bad sci-fi movies. I'll throw that out there. So
Science Mystery 3000. When they go and watch really bad sci-fi movies and shows and make fun of it. That's what I watch. Hello, Don Phoenix.
True. But I thought the latest Tomb Raider movie wasn't bad. It could have been worse. It was certainly entertaining to me.
There was a new Tomb Raider movie.
Yeah, it was came out in 2018.
See, I didn't even know this.
It's not a great movie. I don't think it's the worst movie ever, but
I kind of stopped watching movies.
Hello, Rich. Vera's in here, checking us out. Hey, Vera. Doom guy's nice. Down Phoenix. I like Tomb Raider from 2018. I did not like it. I owned the movie. It was that great for me.
So, were there any other games on the list that there's a problem with, Lance? I don't know what else you looked at.
Well, there's Epic Games basically put a software in their app, basically making it to go through your Steam library and what they buy and everything else for it.
Oh, you're talking about the Epic Games launcher.
Yeah.
Yeah. there is an option in the Epic Games Launcher where the Epic Games Launcher, just explaining it for everyone, can actually access your Steam account and add the executables for all of your Steam games into the Epic Game Launcher so that you don't have to have two launchers open at the same time. So basically, you can add the executables for all of your Steam games into your Epic Games Launcher. Just launch your Epic Games Launcher, and all the executables for all of your Epic games and your Steam games are all in the one client. So you don't have to have two clients open if you use those particular services. So it's a cool feature. Epic Games still has a lot to do to make their service better. They need to take care of their TOS. It still has some holes in it. Not to mention, there's no way to review a game. And that's a good segue. Let's talk about what Steam has done. Okay, Steam has created a system, right, where they have an algorithm that tries to recognize when review bombs are happening on games, and it will hide all of the reviews that come in during the time period that the algorithm recognizes that, or believes, I'm going to use the term believe, that believes a review bomb is happening. So they do preemptively warn, that if you write a legitimate review and post it while the algorithm believes a review bomb is happening, your review is going to get hidden with the review bombs. Now, they're not deleting the review bombs. They're just hiding them from normal view. So you can still go in and say, activate all reviews, and you're going to get the review bomb reviews as well. But when you first look at a game, those are not, they're hidden. You have to unhide them. Instead of it being probably the opposite. They should make it so that you have the option to hide them, but they're initially viewable. But instead, they're doing it the other way around. So it's a very gray area what their definition of a review bomb is. Okay, we all know what it's defined as. It's when people go and just give a game the worst rating they can, as many people do it as they can, and they might post comments that don't have to directly do with the game's gameplay, but might have something to do with maybe politics or a situation behind the game of the developer. And the way that a lot of people show their displeasure with a company is they'll do review bombs. So let's say, let's just use the example that caused this. Metro. Okay, Metro
Exodus. Right? I almost got that game.
It's a good game. It's a good game. It's getting good reviews. So
is it? Yeah. Is it actually a good game?
It's getting pretty good reviews. Pretty good reviews.
Give me a minute. Give me a minute before you continue on for this. You guys can ask us questions. I might type our answers on the actual chat, but it might take a while for us to answer all your questions. Just letting you know. But you can ask us. I know I'm going to answer Down Phoenix's and Jules Solzia and Richard John. I will answer your question. It might just take a while because we have like 4 people here. They're gonna talk between each other about the certain situation of the comment. But if you want to, if we may see, if you see a good question and stuff, we'll put it up on the podcast and talk about it. If not, it'll be on the chat, and I will one of us will be replying to it. Okay, continue on, Graham.
Oh, right. Look, I'll sum it up quick. What Steam has done is they've created a gray area that they can use to manipulate review scores. Okay, that's just plain and simple.
Exactly.
You can try and argue with me about anyone out there all they want, but it gives them the ability to be able to manipulate rankings and scores for games. That's going to be for the benefit of the corporations and not the players. Okay, because that gray area gives them the ability to do whatever they want, because they can redefine what that gray area is whenever they want. And they can say, well, we took out all the reviews on the second day because they were review bombs. How the hell are they going to define that? You know, that's in a nutshell. That's the Steam problem.
Okay. There's a lot of problems with Steam.
Rotten Tomatoes does that now too.
Yeah, it's getting kind. I don't go Rotten Tomatoes anymore. It's just gotten very dumb. I don't really look at the Steam review anyways because even with the review bomb and stuff, I just I just wait till a week or two. And I watch someone on YouTube like Down Phoenix or RGT85 explaining to me if I want the game or not. Let's see here. Some reason the stream got cut off. Okay. Down Phoenix, Castlevania Netflix. I'm gonna CSHKW is great. I bet The Witcher would be too. Yes, that is an anime TV show format, not a movie. A lot of anime TV show format or cartoon based TV show format are always awesome and way better than the movie because you can put a lot more details in the storyline and the background for it.
That's all you need is voice actors.
Yeah, Richard John. Thank you. You did your 20. You are more of the OG than I am. You did 20 years. I only did almost 6 years due to my disability towards the end. That got me honorable discharge. Thank you for your service, Richard, and thank you for being with us. Juzo, I think this is actually a good question, especially for people to I think it's actually a good topic for this is the frames per second situation on the I believe is I think it's a her or a guy, sorry. Heard that crossplay in Fortnite on the Switch was removed to due to different frames per second between the platform. I think it would be better if they optimize the game for NS, cut down the graphics. That is going to be a very tricky question, especially a Tegra 1 chip on the Switch, due to the fact that depending on, let's say if I have a lower setting graphics, it may look very pixelated in one form or another.
Right. Hold on 1 second though, okay? So that question or statement is not accurate. The Switch version of Fortnite, the crossplay was not removed.
No, it was not. Only thing you can't do crossplay with it
PS4.
is PS4. I think I think you can play with people PS4 now. That's the only game. The Fortnite is the only game that you get to cross-platform with all consoles and PC. Because I've been playing on the PC. I've been playing with people on the PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch when I was live streaming that.
I don't think Epic is overly concerned about performance between devices, because you're talking about different phones. It's huge. An iPhone 6 to an iPhone 10, or a Galaxy S7 to a Galaxy S10. You're talking about radically different performance in those devices. So I just don't think Epic is overly concerned. I think they've already put in ways that crossplay functions. First off, Fortnite doesn't use that much power anyway. It's frame rate.
Yeah, it's pretty. Like, have you seen the game? Like, it's pretty like dumbed down.
It's locked at 30 frames per second. It's not a 60 frame per second game.
It looks like I could play it on a PS2. Honestly, like that's just kind of how it looks to me.
Well, let's see here. Next question. Switch can still do crossplay. It's just if it paired with random. If it'll only be with Switch and mobile, you can group with PC, Xbox, and PS4 peeps though. There's a lot of. I think Xbox is becoming more of a service now, but we don't know. That's just basically a rumor. We won't know until the next gen comes out and basically how they're going to go later on.
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I don't like to play NS. Just before I could play with friends who have PS4 and Xbox One, and not only with players on the Switch. I know that Xbox and Nintendo is going to be cross-platform compatible for a lot of the games together. PS4 does not like to play nice, because they have there's one old CEO left. And a new one came in, destroyed the whole censorship thing. And then a new guy coming over, and we have no idea what the hell he's gonna do. You don't know he's going to stay the same with the censorship, or are they going to go revert back to the old ways? And hopefully, they won't cross-platform be a lot better.
Look, even with the new CEO coming into Sony, it looks like they're still going in the same direction.
Yeah, and
that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
I don't see any change. I see the same crap they've been pulling for the last 2 years.
Then I stopped buying games for it, and that means I won't be buying RPG games. I won't be buying any RPG games new RPG games for it, because I know they're gonna censor the shit out of it. Because a lot of the JRPG games that I play, you can actually change a lot of the clothes for it. As you can run around with a maid's outfit, killing dragons and stuff. The stuff like that.
Shining Resonance.
Yeah, Ashley plays a lot of those games. I'm like, I only game I
liked the maid's outfit.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, it was good.
The only game I want to play in the JRPG series I have not touched yet. I started buying Ys Origin, Ys 1 and 2. I'm gonna play all the way through Ys 8, but I have to find the time to do that.
Mean, companies like Gust and KT, are they screwed? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Because the majority of their games, just about everything they make, are PS4 games, right? And previously PS3 games. I mean, what's going to happen to the at later thirds? What's going to happen to Azure Knights 3? Because I believe there's supposed to be a third one. What's going to happen to these kind of JRPG / fan service games? It's interesting. We'll find out. As far as the consoles go, look, there's an undeniable fact, and now this is becoming easier for some Sony fanboys to accept. The Xbox One X is technologically far superior than the PS4 Pro. Okay, it's just a fact.
But I don't own it.
I understand.
Hey, Ashley.
What, Lance?
I want to show them an example of some of the JRPG games that has those stuff that you're probably not going to use more of.
Shining Resonance should be on your desk.
Excuse me.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me, Lance? Lance. I said Shining Resonance should be on your desk.
It's not on my desk. I have the plastic cover for it. That's it.
Lance, any other...
Well, you guys also have a screen, right, to look through. Let's see here. I'm not saying that I don't like we already did that. Why are you still talking to this person? You have earned your place in history. Which person? By the way, how do you like Zelda Breath of the Wild? Did you play it? If so, did you like it? I played it, I beat it, I streamed about 80-90 hours of it. Did not like it. Due to the fact that the open world is great, it's just there's not much to do in the open world.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Look, Breath of the Wild is a good game, but it's an empty world. And it doesn't feel like an open world game because the NPCs aren't there, the stories aren't there. It's a big empty world, and if you play it for an open world game, and that's what you want to take out of it,
put a lot more content with the NPCs.
I don't think it comes off very well. Yeah. If you're just playing it as like and your mindset is I like a traditional Zelda game, it's one of the best Zelda games. Definitely. It's a great game. But in its launch window, I think that Nier Automata and Zero Horizon Dawn are better games. And
then until it gets censored.
I think that the year that Zelda won Game of the Year, I think that should have went to Zero Horizon Dawn. And I know it's a PS4 exclusive, but it's an incredible game. in my opinion, better than Zelda. But that's just how I see the two games.
Hammer says they're $100 off right now. Ashley, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Talk about the Xbox.
Oh, I don't have the money for the Xbox One X.
Yes. The Xbox One X right now is well, I think they're not going to get that up. You can get different versions of it that are $399, not $499.
As senior, why would you walk and get up and walk around in the middle of the podcast? Due to the fact that I have circulatory problems from my lower back and my left leg, chronic pain from my lower left left leg. I have arthritis in my lower back, and I also have nerve damage to my lower back and my left leg. And every 30 minutes to an hour, I have to walk around to regulate the flow, and I cannot sit in one position for a long period of time. That is why.
All right, so what's we don't. So let's talk a little about what's going on in the world of anime. And the direction that's.
I remember old anime back in the 90s.
How censorship it was. The newer anime.
Let me just start with what Twitter has done, right?
Uh-huh.
With banning basically essentially banning anime models and anime artwork because they think it's depictions of underage models, and I don't agree with them, but it's one of the reasons.
Are you sure they banned it? Because I see that every day on my
no. Oh, you need to look at press releases.
Yeah, are you sure they Twitter? Are you sure?
Oh yes.
Hey,
because I see that every day. I mean, I see there's hentai on there and everything.
Ashley, can you turn on your cam?
All that's banned. Twitter bans.
Well, apparently it's not banned.
Yeah, because I still see that stuff too.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. You guys talk.
The mountains of it. It's not.
I mean, if you look, just do a Google search. I'm surprised you guys don't know about this.
Because I see it every day on my Twitter feed.
Listen to me. Just go to Google and search. Twitter bans what is known as lolly anime, which has created an umbrella.
I don't look at lolly.
Right.
The
lolly anime. They have created an umbrella.
The lolly anime.
Pushing all anime artists off of Twitter. This is a huge thing.
What I'm looking at is not lolly. So
yeah, it's all over. It's all over Reddit. It's been in tons of podcasts and millions of, like I say millions, but a lot of YouTube videos have gone up about Twitter doing this. And a lot of Japanese anime artists that are in Japan that work for themselves are very angry about this because a lot of them would use Twitter to show their artwork to customers, to fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now all of these Japanese artists are leaving Twitter because
they go into Instagram.
There's another service they're using, but they're not deleting their Twitter accounts, but they're moving their content off Twitter so that their Twitter accounts don't get banned. They want to stay on Twitter to be able to communicate with fans on Twitter, but they're not providing content to Twitter anymore. They're moving their content to platforms and just trying to use Twitter to point people towards that. But this is only the beginning. This is one of the bigger topics being talked about in anime. But what's going on out there with anime releases in general?
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time, though. Like, you see this stuff in anime.
What I've noticed in anime lately, in the newer ones, in the past couple years, is that they've been getting lazy. You're starting to see the mistakes they've done in it. It's not as detailed as it once was.
I think that's more just saturation of the market. Like, there's a lot of anime out. Like, there's a lot of anime every season. Like, there's hundreds of anime a year. I think what you're referring to, Ashley, is just like there's just so much of it. More and less of like actually showing.
The new style is very simple. and very sloppy.
So the anime industry, I think, from what I'm hearing Carl say,
has
turned into a machine that the quality of the content doesn't matter. They just want to churn out.
They just want to pump it out as fast as possible.
They just want to churn out quantity, not quality. They want to get as many shows on the market as they want because they believe that they're going to get the views and the advertising and the sales off of selling a massive amount of anime, other than making a really good anime that just sells a lot.
That is true.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, but
some animes is good.
I'm starting to see the horrible mistakes. Like, you'll have one eye this high and one eye this low. The mouth be off. Nose will look horrible.
That could just be like scheduling issues. Like, that happens a lot. Like, that happened in Dragon Ball Super. In like the first 20 episodes, there was a lot of like editing issues, like timing scheduling. I mean, I don't want to get into that. That could be a long story. But like, some animes do that. Like, another anime that did that was Twin Tails. I can't remember its Japanese name. It was a Twin Tail anime. It's the guy that has a fetish for Twin Tails. It had some animation issues, and they do the scheduling.
This is all the animes that I've watched off of Crunchyroll.
Oh.
It's all the new stuff. It's all having mistakes.
Do you have any like what is having mistakes? The name, I probably know of it.
You're trying to have me remember the names of animes. Oh,
yeah, I know. That's impossible.
There's one. I think it's My Roommate is a Cat.
I've seen. I think I've seen the first episode of that, but I didn't.
That's one's having mistakes.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can hear myself. Why can I hear myself?
I'm saying all the new ones are having mistakes. I can point out it. The regular people probably can't because they are used to the style. But as being big, so engulfed in art, I'm seeing all these mistakes.
Not being an artist, I don't really notice them as much. That's the only reason why I would like to see examples. For me, it's not so much the art mistakes that are the problem, but pushing out so much anime. The stories are terrible. They're generic.
They're getting repetitive.
They're corny.
Yeah.
It's the same thing over and over. And look, I love Gunpla. I love Gundam, giant robots, monsters. That's my type of anime.
You're a sci-fi nerd.
I watched Gundam, but the most recent Gundam that was released was this one that was it was these kids going into a shop and building these models and going into a virtual reality world, and these models that they built were their Gundam.
Yeah, I didn't see that one, but it sounds terrible.
It's actually not bad.
Look,
the story of it was actually good.
The days of Gundam Wing, and actually my two favorite Gundams are Gundam Wing and Gundam Double Zero.
It's called Gundam Build Divers.
I watched a bit of that. I'm like, that was stupid, in my opinion.
I'm not a huge Gundam fan.
The only anime that's relatively good. The only anime right now that's relatively good is called Angels of Death.
Angels of Death?
Wait, is you mean Deathwing
from anime?
It's an anime about this girl. She is void of all emotion.
Oh, I know this one. I watched it with you.
Wait, Angel of Death?
No.
Angels of Death. That's what's
called. Yeah, I've seen that. It's about a video game, right?
No, it's about
this girl.
It's a girl, yeah.
She was at this therapy, and then she gets passed out, and she wakes up in this basement of this building, and she has to go through each floor and she's traveling with a murderer. She has to surpass all these psycho murderers, and she wants to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen like the first 4 episodes.
Only anime I watch is like the new. I did already have some review for it for the ending of the winter season. It's I think it's some of the fantasy setting. It was the romance comedy ones, and usually I watch a lot of lewd type of anime nowadays. It's just using my Crunchyroll. What do you expect? I know what you watch.
Well, no, I'm saying old stuff. I know I use it. I'm not talking about what you're currently watching Crunchyroll.
No, the old stuff.
You're a big fan of Elfen Lied, aren't you?
No, actually, Ashley is. We have the DVDs for it.
Elfen Lied?
Yeah.
That was good.
I don't know. It's like the old.
That's a good one. That's a classic.
The old school anime.
It was a little revealing, Elfen Lied.
Yeah, the old school anime I like really watch. Or I really want to get a complete set of in Blu-ray is Robotech.
Just over resplice of a couple lost Japanese. Well, they're not truly lost, but a couple Japanese animated series in the late 70s that never got any traction. But yeah, it was done by the company Harmony Gold.
Yeah. I'm gonna read some of these questions.
Robotech, by the way, Kyle, you might recognize the name Macross.
Yeah, I know that.
Macross Robotech.
No, I don't. If it's from like the 90s or 80s, I probably don't know it.
Yeah. I'm gonna read some of these questions, and I'm gonna reply some of them, and we'll continue to talk about more anime. I didn't talk about. You watch any of the newer ones yet, Graham?
I have a list on Crunchyroll that I made. So, I mean, I was out all day, so I didn't have a chance. But
you need to stop losing my password. Just write it down or post it next to your screen or something.
I did write it down.
Okay. The giveaway question, I think, is usually it's on when you hit exactly 1,000 or over and make a video. You have a month to reply to it. We're gonna use a different type of site just for your guys's giveaway. Basically, you got to click to subscribe to this Twitter, subscribe to these guys' YouTube and stuff like that to get points for it. Then everyone has a chance to win 1 gift card. It could be 4 gift cards, be $25 each. Usually, a lot of people that never won through a lot of the giveaways I did actually won stuff. Like Carl won a Supersonical figurine, Magic the Gathering, and the.
I have that. I have that right over here.
Yeah, I was surprised you got it really fast for it. So when it hits 1,000 or more, we will be releasing it. And double that when it hit 2,000, we'll give another giveaway. 4,000, another giveaway. 8,000, another giveaway. We're gonna double it every time we get it. So just letting you guys know. Richard John, I am not going to be telling people he doesn't know anything about this and that and stuff like that as well. I'm an Air Force. I have family in the Army, Marine, and Navy, and Coast Guard. I believe your dad was in the military, wasn't it, Graham?
My father was actually a decorated Korean War veteran.
Yeah, so
he was in the Air Force.
So
he was a demolitions. You ready for this? He was a demolitions paratrooper.
Sounds like a suicide paratrooper.
You wanted a dangerous job, right? Mm-hmm. So things that my father had to do is they would literally drop them in behind enemy lines so that they could set explosives under where tank lines were coming in and bridges, and then they would run for their damn lives back to where the Allied line was. And that's what he did. Yeah. He started in the Army because there was no Air Force yet. Mm-hmm. And then when the Air Force, it was the Army Air Corps. It was the Army Air Corps.
Yeah.
And then when he was finished, he was Special Forces Air Force.
Mm-hmm. That's the paratroopers, the PJs. So I am not. Also, I don't like talking. Tell you guys a little bit about me. I don't like talking people down. I don't like putting people on the spotlight. I don't like to hear any racial stuff. I don't like to hear anything that basically makes other people feel uncomfortable, stuff like that. This is not an HAW stuff. I don't give two shit about SAW. I don't give two shits about your religion. I don't give two shits about what your heritage is and stuff like that as well. We're all here to have fun, and that's how I like to have it as it is.
Oh, I agree. And I just want to mention one other thing about my dad. You know, something he was always very proud of is he always bought a lot of South Korean products, like LG and Samsung. And he did that because he was happy about those products existing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he fought a war so that we would have that stuff. And because think about it, if he didn't fight that war, there'd be no Samsung and LG, right? So he was very proud every time he saw a Korean product on the market, because he would say, you know, we fought so that that product would be, so that the South Koreans would be free. Anyway, yeah, just something about my dad.
Just be careful with your drinking, Richard. I was about to get myself Irish whiskey, but I'd probably do that after the stream. Probably be drinking and playing Minecraft. So yeah, just letting you know. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. I'm wearing green, so Ashley can't pinch me.
I'm wearing green.
So yeah, you know, everyone, stay safe. Don't drink too much green beer. If you're old enough. If not, don't drink too much Shamrock Shake and sugar, so you know you'll be able to go to sleep.
Well, St. Patrick's Day is almost over.
Yeah, mine. You saw that meme? You saw that meme? Happy St. Patrick Stewart's Day. They put like a Irish beard, say and his next generation picture with a red beard. What is my favorite game? We all can actually, all four of us could tell you that in a bit for you. Let's see here. Yeah, just be careful, Richard. Make sure someone, if you're tipsy, make sure you take an Uber or have someone drive you back home. Don't drink and drive, man. You know, losing a life over drinking is not a good way, but have fun with that. Okay, how big do you think your channel will get? And we'll answer that too. Give nothing away. I have to give stuff away because you guys are actually supporting my channel. You guys are supporting Grimm's Dark Titans channel. You're also supporting Ashley's Ashley's channel, and also Ashley Art Fantasy channel as well. Amen. Okay. Are you going to stream Minecraft? Yes, every morning, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for this month. We are going to play Minecraft every day. Just day to you too.
Thanks, Grim.
There's a link for that for Grimm's Dark Titan channel. Show them some love. That's Carl's channel. Never mind. Okay. Okay. Let's each say one of our favorite game. I think we have multiple of them. Just get one out of the one that's probably come out of your head. We'll start with Grim, then Carl, Grim, Ashley, Carl, then me. I'll do last. Grim, what is your favorite game?
So, hold on, let me pause something. Look, that's it's a difficult question. So, I'm the oldest one here, and I've been playing
Centipede. Tetris?
I've been playing games since I've been playing games since before Tetris came out. Okay.
Pong Dead.
My first console was okay. Wow, I feel wonderful about.
Or one of those old school original one when you hook up this little device to your TV, you put a little plastic thing over the TV, and you get your actual graphically thing on it.
About the Fairchild channel app.
Yeah.
Which was the first. That was actually the first console based.
And my mom knows all this.
Console. The first console to ever use cartridges. I'm trying to get that out of my mouth. Because before that, there were consoles before that, but they had the games. You know, they were in them. You couldn't take them out. You couldn't take them out of system. So the Fairchild F, the system that popularized console games was the Atari 2600. But look, I've been playing since the Atari 2600, the Apple IIe. So, you know, all this time, all these different eras of gaming that I have existed in, it's very difficult to say what's my favorite game. I could say that I have games from different eras. Like if you want to talk about the 1980s, my favorite game from the 1980s is it's a tie between two: the Bard's Tale series and the Ultima series, specifically Ultima 5. I think those are games that helped create modern day RPGs, just like how RPGs are all based on Dungeons and Dragons, even the Japanese ones. But
how about I simplify it for you, Grim? What game will you play over and over? I think I already know what your favorite game is, but over and over again. That's the only game you're only able to play in a deserted island.
It's not Minecraft. Not Minecraft. So I played. I think some of the brilliant games that I played were Baldur's Gate 2 on the PC. I thought the story and I was great. I loved the Infinity Engine, and that came out in 2001. Diablo 2, Diablo 3, I think are really incredible. As for games, recently new games, Horizon Zero Dawn is my favorite game in the last couple of years.
I still haven't finished that game.
Yeah, I think that the combat in it is awesome. I think the story is really neat. I love that game, and that's why I was saying I wished it had won game. It was runner up for Game of the Year to Zelda. Another Japanese game that came from Japan that I really loved, that's come out in the last couple of years, was Nier Automata, which is the third Nier game.
We all know why. Because 2B's too hot.
Yeah, 2B is really hot.
I love the combat system. I think the Nier games have always been good. If to answer Lance's question, games that I've spent an absurd amount of time playing, World of Warcraft, I played it for like 4 years. It's been a long time since I played it.
Yeah, it got to the expansion got to really bad.
Diablo 3, I've literally got up to 70 tons of different characters over the years. So that's another game I've
let's have someone else have a turn. Ashley, your favorite game that you can't live without?
That's gonna be hard.
I think it's one of those dating sims games, I bet.
I got a couple favorite games. I can talk about my favorite game from when I grew up, and then...
Yeah, just give me 3 games. You grew up, that you still want to play right now, and one you never will ever let anyone borrow or take from you.
Game I grew up with, the first game I really played through when I was young, was Willow for the NES.
We have that. I bought that for you again.
Yeah, I love that game.
But you never played it. We played it once. I don't know how many years.
Did you like the movie?
I never watched the movie.
I wouldn't. The movie is good, actually.
It's decent. It stars Val Kilmer, by the way.
Okay. Now what's the other one?
Let's see.
You need time? Let me get back to you.
My teenage years was Kingdom Hearts.
Oh God, I still cannot. I want to play 3. I'm sorry, 3 wasn't that great.
I liked the first one.
Yeah. The last one?
Devil May Cry.
Okay.
Carl. I love Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
The series in general. It's a good story. I like it.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry and Bayonetta are both awesome.
Yeah.
I love Bayonetta.
I can't believe I played Bayonetta. I just can't play it.
You can't find Bayonetta attractive. You want to tell everybody why you can't find Bayonetta?
Looks just like her mom. That's why I said nope, no Bayonetta. I'll just beat the game. That's it.
It's a twin of my mom.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, Carl, your turn.
Yeah, probably like Skyrim.
Yeah.
Probably be my favorite game ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's so many mods.
I should have mentioned that too. Skyrim is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And Carl, just response to what you were saying about Witcher 3. I don't. The Witcher 3 is also incredible. I don't think it can replace Skyrim though.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
Witcher 3 is good. I just haven't played it yet. Also because I need like a little bit better graphics card.
Only be Witcher, the first Witcher. I still have 2 and 3, but
and Witcher 1 was the worst one.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yeah,
Witcher
I've heard
1
it
was a terrible game. I thought it was a terrible game. I played it a little bit, but
yeah, I beat it.
I respect Skyrim. I wish that you could take Skyrim and put the Morrowind, the Morrowind skill system in it. That would be incredible. Because I love Morrowind, and yeah, I didn't mention the Elder Scrolls games because those actually came out in the '90s. Look, when Daggerfall came out, it was huge. I remember when Daggerfall came out, Elder Scrolls 2 came out when I was in high school, and like everyone was like, "Oh my!"
What year was that? What year was that?
Came out in '94.
I was 2.
Carl, next game.
3 maybe.
What's the next game?
Oh, so a game from like my childhood.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Probably be maybe Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Okay.
Played that game like religiously.
Now you're letting us know that how you're the youngest one of this group then now.
He's only 2 years younger than us.
Well, San Andreas wasn't my childhood. It was my high school years.
Yeah, it was my. And then I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I guess
we're
right now I
talking
play
about little kid childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like I guess Tony Hawk, but that was when I was like 6, 8 maybe. I don't know. But,
that was like, PlayStation 1.
And
that was PlayStation 1.
And a game that you will never will give away for anything.
Well, I mean, I can't really give away games. They're all on Steam.
I'll just take your hard drive and everything.
I mean, I have my Steam account.
Well, I'll just take your phone.
Authorization. It would be annoying to re-download some of the mods, and I wouldn't be able to download a bunch of them because some of them don't exist anymore. So I'll be sad, but I don't know. I mean, maybe as lame as this sounds, Guitar Hero.
That's fine.
Because that was like the first video I ever uploaded to YouTube. It's like 8 years old. And it got me to play real guitar, so that's kind of a plus.
Okay.
Got me into music too. That game got me into music.
Was it the same? Do you have the same channel now that you have when you were 8?
Well, I wasn't 8. Well, I mean, I made it's the same channel. I've only had the one YouTube channel, but like, I mean, I watched YouTube before I made a channel. Like, I was watching YouTube for like 2 years, and then I made a channel.
My turn now.
I didn't really start watching YouTube until like 2013, only because like I was.
It was like 2006 for me, 2008.
Well, I was in grad school during those years when YouTube started becoming popular, and trust me, when I was in grad school, and it could have been also a time that I was living overseas, I had no time to watch things like YouTube. Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're in college for like 10 years.
What's up, Grian? It'll be my turn now. Hello, everyone that just joined. I'll read your comment after this. Question about the favorite games. Childhood game, Super Mario RPG, 7th of the Legend Star, the Super Nintendo. The game that I'm currently trying to play all of right now is the game that I want to play right now that basically is all of it is Fallout. I'm replaying 1. I never really beat it. The game that I will never give away will be my Final Fantasy 7 or 10. 7 or 10, that's it. That's pretty much it for that. Yeah, just be safe, Richard.
Speaking of Final Fantasy games, I think I'm probably liking this. I haven't gotten too far into the 15 story.
Oh, in Midway, you're gonna hate it.
So far, I'm liking it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, like I said, Midway, you'll be like, why is the story jumping around like it's a ping pong table? You'll find out when you reach there. Kwan says I love Minecraft. That's good. Richard, I got a tax already. Home already. That's good. Let's see here. Someone Miguel retracted his message. Those are the links. We are friends on Instagram. That is true. Thank you. It's 0237 here, so it's 237 wherever he's at. Okay. Okay. He's in New York, so it should be.
It's the same time, Lance.
Huh?
He's in New York, so it's 10:46 p.m.
Yeah, it should be 22. I think he's a little bit tipsy. Forgot put a 2 instead of 0. Put a 0 instead. Put a 2 instead of. I put a 0 on the first beginning. Then I got Minecraft. Can we play sometime? Yes, 12 to 5 a.m. I've been keep telling people this, and I'm getting sick and tired of saying it every day. Frank Rochefolda from Skyroom, from the Breath, I think, Dragon Breath.
Oh no.
Carl, sup, Grian? Oh yeah, cool. That's all the question. Anyone at NakaCon today? I don't know what NakaCon is. Probably will look it up later after the stream. We are almost towards the end point for Space Talk. So far, we'll put one more. We'll be putting in one more gaming questions that's out within this week, and also we will take a few more questions before we start Space Talk. This great voice, Professor Grimm, will tell you about the world, space, and everything that revolves around it. Hopefully this time you'll be simplifying, because we have not a lot of younger audience nowadays. Okay, last news question, news stuff that we saw this week. Anyone want to chime in, add in for this conversation?
Just go ahead, whatever.
There hasn't been much. I don't know if we should talk about the thing that basically. Well, we can talk about video game violence, because that thing's coming back to haunt us, and I pretty much told you, Graham, that I told you so. That they're always going to do it. They're going to blame blame the video game violence for everything, but there's no scientific proof or research for it.
The situation that happened recently in the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It's
a tragedy, but it's not really being so much blamed on video games anymore. I mean, look, if you read the writings of the people that were involved in it, without getting into too much detail, they're people that were kind of indoctrinated into a certain type of thinking, but they're also people that were heavily into social media and internet meme culture, and the manifesto that they produced heavily referenced online memes, and of course that comes down to the reason behind in the not forementioned video. One of the assailants mentions the master of memes himself on YouTube, the biggest YouTuber, PewDiePie, and not because PewDiePie has anything to do with it, but simply because the people that were behind this incident, who, by the way, were also known to have traveled to many different parts of the world, including the Middle East, and we don't know where the indoctrination happened, but they were followers, admirers, and users and consumers of social media, internet meme culture. And now, how is that going to fall out? Is meme culture and YouTube and social media going to be blamed for mass tragedies now, just like in the past where video games were blamed?
Well,
I can't answer if they're going to take it that direction.
Well, because outside the country is not blaming video games, but in America, even until a couple of news articles and stuff, Senates and Congress are blaming violent video game is the cause, but it's not, because there was a study in Oxford that it does not show anything that will become the next shooter for it. Oxford did the study on it this year. There's no conclusion for it, and they're still trying to find. No matter what, anything bad happens.
No correlation.
Yeah,
so that's the word in psychology that you're looking for. There was no correlation between mass shootings, murders, and video games. They didn't find any correlation.
Other countries are banning games. Did you hear about India?
Oh yeah, India can't. Basically, you cannot play PUBG. The 2 boys got arrested, and because it just it was implemented, and basically they got out with no charges with a warning.
There's more to that than violence. So just to end the whole censorship for the night, let me just point out, keep in mind that no matter, let's talk about quickly in a nutshell. the censorship that's going on in the United States by Sony and Steam and all these other companies is different than what goes on, say, in the Middle East and China.
Yeah.
So no matter how much you complain about what's going on here, think about the Middle East. You can't even buy video games in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
They're banned. Okay? And in China, think about how heavy everything is censored.
They have, if a male has an earring in China and they're on television, that earring is censored.
Absolutely. So here's the big difference. China and the Middle East is government censorship. Okay? That's the actual government censoring and filtering what the people see. In the United States, our government is not censoring anything. We do not have government censorship here because of our amendment rights, the freedom of speech. Okay? Because of our amendments, our government can't censor. It's our own corporations, it's ourselves that are censoring ourselves. And in fact, one could argue that the censorship in the United States and Canada are only available because of our freedoms. That we're actually free to censor things in the U.S. and corporations are free to censor things in the U.S. So there are different types of censorship. So we're dealing with government censorship, which is worse, by the way. In these other countries, governments banning things, China, all these Middle Eastern countries, to North America, which is kind of like self-imposed censorship by us, the people itself, the people who run private companies.
Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic difference.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that if anything bad happens, I'm trying to make, before I kind of went off topic, what I was talking about is that anything bad happens, something happens, and humans want to know what's the actual thing. They want to blame something that actually makes sense, but in the end,
it's usually just mental health.
It's So,
they were in the right state of mind. It didn't matter. They could have been watching a TV show. They could have been playing a game, or they could have been just reading a book. And it was all mentally, they weren't there. They weren't right in the head. It didn't matter what they were doing. They were not right to begin with.
And American politics now, majority of them are blaming video games again, like they did before then and before then again.
I haven't seen that, Lance, because the manifesto it doesn't say anything about video games. The manifesto is really from the New Zealand incident. It's basically set up. It's basically a copy of internet meme culture.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the manifestos. That's totally different. What other people in other countries except for America are thinking. Okay, this guy has problems. Okay, in America, our own our own politics people, majority, about 30% of them. I saw some articles and stuff. They're blaming video games again due to that, and there's no correlations to it.
Right. In the Oxford and other studies, they could not find a correlation between mass shootings and video games. The correlation doesn't exist. Is there overlap? Yes. But keep in mind that overlap and correlation are not the same thing.
Yeah.
So.
And guess I can guarantee a lot of the reasons why there's these mass shootings in schools, a lot of these kids go in there and shoot people. These kids were kids that were bullied so severely they didn't see any way out.
Not really. It's mental health is the environment of the household. A third is lack of parenting, because if you're a parent, lock up your guns. I have a gun. They're locked up.
Some of these kids were bullied too.
Yeah.
So.
I was bullied. I made a video, but I don't condone bullying vlogs. So yeah. But
bullying is definitely part of it. But I just want to throw out there that a lot of kids are bullied.
Yeah, that's true.
Most kids don't turn into shooters.
No, they don't.
So
A lot of these kids.
I don't care how much you're bullied.
Yeah.
I will never accept that as an excuse to be a mass shooter.
No, it's not. It's basically mental health and how the environment is, and also parenting is the factor as well.
Some of these shooters had wonderful parents.
Yeah,
it's just their mental.
No, not only that is what they're exposed to. You know,
right.
it's one of those things. It's what they're exposed to.
Lance, I'll state it in more technical terms. It's about sometimes these people that are a little unstable or maybe lonely, looking for acceptance, they become indoctrinated into certain ideologies, and some of these ideologies are not very good. And I'm not going to sit here and talk about the different ideologies that exist.
Well, that's why I said environment.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
these people become indoctrinated into these ideologies, which make them into extremists, and they can have the best parents ever, but indoctrination is so powerful, right? It's so powerful, especially when someone is looking for acceptance and a feeling of belonging that they don't have. So they will turn towards these ideologies, and it just warps their mind. And a lot of these people who end up doing all this bad stuff, this is where it comes from.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, you know. We're never going to be, we're always going to be in harm's way, no matter what. But we can actually minimize the damage if certain things are implemented. But the problem, if you implement that, then our freedom is basically, more lessened, I would say. But I'm not going to go into more subject. I'm just going to put this out there. I'm just saying that politics again, blaming games in America, not New Zealand, not any other country. It's that. But
politicians are too old.
Yeah, I even saw a lot of the stuff from Elon Musk was saying to the SEC. Also, Google was there at the front of Congress. Mark Zuckerberg. I'm looking at them like, you do not know how internet works. You don't know how search engine works. It's like you don't have to have a computer degree to know all this stuff. You just probably want to know the basic knowledge of it. I don't think they ever researched it. So yeah, that's basically one of the things, is that a lot of our politicians are old, don't know how the newer technology has been out for like more than 30 years works. There should be no excuse for
technology. I'm sorry, which technology is 30 years old?
I will say the internet. No,
the internet is older than 30 years.
Yeah, I mean like commercially, everyone's able to use was like probably 30 years.
I go along the lines of 40, because it became commercially available
in 1970. Oh yeah, I forgot. We're 2010, so yeah, 40 years. So yeah, 1970, basically when they used it. I thought it was still 1,000.
Right. It became.
Well, it's gonna be 50 years soon.
It became commercialized then, but it didn't get really popular until the 90s.
In the 80s.
No, so the internet explosion is based on the World Wide Web, which the World Wide Web was released in '93. So that's when you see the explosion of internet in the homes. But if you go back to the 80s, people think that we didn't have internet type things. Hello, everyone. We had AOL, CompuServe,
NetZero.
NetZero didn't exist in the 90s. But we didn't. NetZero was for dial-up. Was a dial-up ISP. So I'm talking about before there were internet service providers as we know them before, because there was no
Pacific Bell.
There was no PPP. So the protocols that created the ability to load graphical web pages, it's called PPP and SLIP. They don't use SLIP anymore, but those protocols didn't exist in the 80s. But anyway, we used to use modems, and we would connect to things. I mean, I had a modem on my Apple IIgs and my Commodore 64, which I got in '84 and '85, and I used to call America Online and all sorts of BBSs. And so, in one form or another, computer connectivity has been around a long time. Although the internet did exist back in the late '70s, it was only used by education by universities
and
the military.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was invented by the military. The internet was invented by the United States military.
Okay.
For those who don't know, by the way, the internet was invented by the U.S. Department of Defense and MIT back in the late 60s in an attempt to create a computer network that could survive a nuclear holocaust. And that's where the internet comes from. It was a DARPA project. And that's why the internet is essentially still controlled by the United States today. Because that's where it came from.
Yeah, okay. I think that'll be it. And we'll be giving Grim lovely talk on Spout Space.
Well, you know what I want to talk about is, again, it's kind of still just it kind of like extending what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks.
Which one is that?
About Elon Musk.
Oh.
And the dragon. And the reason why I want to bring it up again is some stuff that people don't realize about that whole program is, so let's talk about the moon. You know that we're going back to the moon, right?
Well, this time we're actually going to the moon instead of being staged.
You and your conspiracy theories. Well,
you think the world's flat? You're an astronomer.
The world is flat. No. So in 2023, an updated version of the Crew Dragon, which, by the way, they're going to be named the Dragon Starship. So there's two programs right now.
Sounds like a club that only I can go.
Exactly. There's two programs at SpaceX right now. One is called the Super Heavy, and the other is called the Starship program. And the Super Heavy is the program that we're currently involved in, and it was basically the Falcon Heavy 9 rocket, which was one of the largest launch rockets in the world, which put a ton of satellites into space for the United States and other countries. But the Falcon Heavy, which is the rocket that they have now, which is kind of the replacement, the Falcon Heavy is the rocket that will launch the Dragon crew module, soon to be known as the Dragon Starship, out into space. And it's the rocket we used to get it to the space station. And then, of course, with the successful re-landing, which was incredible, because this means that we can start moving forward on actual space travel to other bodies in the solar system, which is incredibly awesome. So in 2023, SpaceX is going to launch and orbit the moon again. We haven't sent anything. We've not sent a spacecraft out that far in a long time, not since the early 70s. And from there, they're going to be building it so that it can land on the moon and take off from the moon. And this is all part of the Starship program by SpaceX. And of course, this leads to Mars. And flying to Mars would be incredible. Now, there's a lot of logistical problems with flying to Mars. Fuel, parts to repair. So what we need to do, and the ship that would go to Mars would be an advanced version of the Dragon Starship, but it's based on that design. But we would need to set up kind of like refueling stations and restocking stations along the way. So we would pre-launch kind of like refueling pods and food and air pods, and we pre-launch them and put them at certain points between here and Mars, and on Mars, so that when we launch the ship and it's on its way, it has multiple opportunities to be able to dock with these refueling stations that are already preset before it even launches and put into place before it launches. And this is a great idea. And back when President Bush, back in 2005, announced we are going to Mars. I don't know how many of you remember that, because a lot of you were younger when he did that, but President Bush got up on a podium and announced we are going to embark on landing on Mars and bringing a station to Mars, building on Mars. And that program, it kind of lost in budgets and other things that happened along the way. When President Obama took over, believing that the money should be used in other places, kind of diverted a lot of money from NASA, canceled a lot of programs, including the space shuttle. In 2011, that was the last flight of the space shuttle, a ship that was designed in the 1970s, one of which we had, a ship which we had actually lost two of, Challenger on takeoff in the 80s, and then in the early 2000s, we lost Columbia on reentry. So we had lost those two. So all those programs were canceled, and the United States was left without a spaceship. It's something we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the exciting part to take from this is we're going to go to Mars. I believe SpaceX, if they can get that ship to orbit around the moon and return without a problem in 2023, and I doubt there's going to be a problem. I see no technological barriers to do this. One, it'll do one thing. It's going to put to bed all of the conspiracy theories that we didn't land on the moon. Because one of the major parts, by the way, one of the major parts of that conspiracy theory is that humans cannot pass through the Van Allen radiation belt without dying, which is a radiation belt that is a little outside of our atmosphere, but exists between us and the moon, and it's caused by solar winds from our sun. There's actually a ton of radiation in space. People don't realize this, that when we send ships out, yes, space is a vacuum, but it's not a true vacuum, but that's another discussion. There is a lot of radiation in space, and our ships that travel through space need to be shielded, and human beings have to be prepped for those radiation challenges. But one of the arguments that's been made in the conspiracy theory documentaries is that there's no way for a human to survive the Van Allen radiation belt. One of the reasons why all of our recent ships and our space stations, like the International Space Station, which is up there now, and the Mir space station before it, and all of the shuttle flights, have all been in low Earth orbit and not high Earth orbit, which would be closer to this radiation belt. They've been in low Earth orbit because that's just easier, and that's just what we use. But humans can pass through this radiation belt. I've seen the math. All you have to do is shield the ship, and the Apollos, the ships that went to the moon, the Apollo ships, were all shielded against this radiation. So, for those out there that still don't believe it, when they see the videos of this, unless, people can still sit there and say, well, that's fake too. SpaceX is an arm of the government, part of NASA.
Yeah, well, you know that new flat Earth theory now is that the Earth is the shape of a donut now.
What? The shape of
donut?
Yeah, there's another theory going that the Earth is the shape of a donut.
What's in the middle?
It's nothing. It's space.
It's space.
Yeah.
Well, I thought most of the flat Earth theories, and correct me if I'm wrong, claim
no,
that
he's not. He's not. We make fun of flat Earther because we know we know he's an astronomer. He knows the Earth is round. I'll eat the moon. Okay.
Even the ancient Egyptians knew the Earth was round.
Even Galileo time, the Earth was
round.
Oh
no, Galileo time. That's too recent history. They knew the Earth was round thousands of years before Galileo. Remember, Galileo was like, he's recent history.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Egyptians figured out the Earth was round, thousands of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How they figured it out was because of shadow.
Yeah, basically someone measured shadows from 2 points, 500 miles apart. So yeah, he went to great lengths to prove it, but he did prove it, and he used trigonometry, which they had. They had basic trigonometry and geometry, and he used that to prove over 500-mile radius by measuring shadows at exact times of the day that the Earth was round. Not to mention that you can see the reflection of the Earth on the moon, and everything in the sky is round. So everything is round. And if you believe in gravity, then by the definition of the theory of gravity, wait. I was going to say the reason why everything's round is because of gravity. Gravity makes all objects round that have enough mass to cause that object to be round, which is why asteroids are not round because they don't have enough mass to cause themselves to be round, but something like the Earth and the Moon does. Oh, Grain MX is saying something interesting here. He's saying that the theory is originally flat, then it curled up into a donut. I mean, I don't know. How do they get this stuff?
I don't know. This was actually old. This was like last year when I saw like new flat earther find a new theory about Earth the shape as a donut. I'm like, what? Really? No, please. We have enough dumb people in this world.
so exactly. So, but back to the subject of Mars and the Moon and going there, I think it's an incredibly awesome thing, and it's going to change technology.
You just won't see me going there. I'll stay on land.
No,
I'm terrified of heights, and I don't even want to think about space.
Well, you don't have to worry about heights in space. There's no height in space.
Yeah.
I like my internet, and I like my phone, and I like Skype. No.
There's an article I read in Popular Mechanics years ago. Do you know what Popular Mechanic is? It's a science engineering magazine. They write journals and stuff about a lot of these things, and also down on Earth. Moon? You can actually they actually found water in the moon. That we're thinking about going over and putting a base and mining the water out. Those are one of the Popular Mechanics that I read. I don't know if there is water in the moon or it's just a big hunk of rock orbiting us.
It's definitely definitely a big hunk of rock that is the same composition as the mantle of the Earth, which, by the way, supports the theory that the moon is actually ejected matter from the Earth, which would explain its size, right?
Yeah.
Because I just want to throw this out there. If you look at planetary satellites, meaning moons of other planets, the moons are really small compared to the other planets. Even Mars, the moons are tiny, and I know Mars is smaller than the Earth, yes, but the moons are almost the size of Deimos and Phobos, which are the moons of Mars, are like basically asteroids. They barely have enough gravity to make themselves round. But the moon on the Earth is literally the size of the United States. And for a planet the size of the Earth to have a moon that size is like really, it's a very small astronomical chance. So the moon was probably formed by a planetary collision where material that made up the Earth's mantle was ejected into orbit, and it accreted into the moon and then was caught in the Earth's orbit. And that's basically how we got our satellite. There's other conspiracy theories, like it was built by aliens as a comet shield. Could be, who knows? It is a weird design, right? That is a theory that it was built by aliens as a comet shield to help.
I'm gonna stop and say something. I agree, and don't say anything political stuff like that. I don't want to trigger anyone on this, so always say religion and political talks are off my streams and my comments. So just let you know, Grian. Okay.
Basically, you're referring to what's called permafrost. There's permafrost on the moon, which is water that's frozen into the soil, and it is there. It is there, and the reason why would you want to mine it is because basically you go to the area where the water is, and you set up your base, and why would you want this water? Well, because what can we get from water? We can make oxygen and fuel from water. So if we have water, we have the basic building blocks for rocket fuel and oxygen. So that's why we would want it. That's why we would want to build a base near it. And it's not mining it per se to mine it and then form it into something, but it's basically using it as raw material to create oxygen, to create fuel.
You know what they can mine? They could find probably in Mars.
Oh, what in Mars?
I bet there's something in Mars that they found and never told us.
Like the face in the Sardonia Plateau?
No, it's the spice.
Oh, right. The spice Milan.
Yes, you must get the spice. The basic building block of our society. And currency.
Well, the spice allows intergalactic travel. The guild uses it to open the jump. Anyway, that's...
And what happens if they find diamonds on Mars?
Diamonds are common.
That might be diamonds on Mars. Like, I mean, Mars had an atmosphere and an environment similar to Earth, and it had plate tectonics as well. Which, by the way,
it has earthquakes.
Not anymore, but it probably did a couple billion years ago.
It might be green. Might be life was once on Mars, but
yeah, Mars might have been a green-blue planet.
Because there was a theory that is what Earth is going to look like in the future, and
700 million, roughly said, unless we create some special technology, the Earth has 700 million years of geologic activity left. And what I mean by that is that the Earth has has an ecosystem, a cycle. It's called the CO2 cycle, and it has to do with recycling CO2 and getting oxygen into the atmosphere. And it's based on tectonic plate movements, and it's based upon magma in the Earth and the Earth's core and the magnetic field of the Earth, which has been theorized and shown in some mathematical theories to act as a shield towards plasma and solar wind from the Earth, which is and can be deadly. But what's going to happen to the Earth? It's it's an old planet. It's 4 billion years old. So the Earth has probably about 700 million years of geologic activity left. And once that geologic activity comes to a halt, the planet will cool down and it will expunge its atmosphere.
And it will look like Mars.
Oh, yeah, unless we do something, it's going to look like Mars. Now, the sun itself has another 5 billion years of life left, so this isn't the sun's fault. Although, partly the sun's fault, because the sun does get hotter and grow bigger every year, ever so slightly. So in 700 million years, I don't think we can yet even blame the sun for the demise of the Earth. The demise of the Earth will be its own fault, because it will have exhausted all of its quote-unquote energy. And the reason why Mars probably only lasted 1 billion years as an inhabitable planet is because it's further from the sun, so it had to...
It's also smaller.
It's also smaller, exactly. Hit me on the head. Smaller and further from the sun. It had to, in many respects, it had to work harder. So it burned out much quicker.
What would have happened to Venus if it wasn't as slow as it was, if it was like a normal pace like Earth?
Well, Venus is much faster than Earth. So
circling around like from day to night.
So Venus's day and night is shorter than the Earth, and its orbital path is faster. Remember, it's close to the sun.
I know it's faster, but I know from day to night it's longer than what ours is. It's slower. I know that.
There's a question for you from Grian MX. For you, Graham.
Well, let me finish. Venus's year is 260 days. Earth days.
It's a lot smaller, so
it's smaller.
I'm talking about like the sun from day to night.
Venus and Earth are actually pretty close in size, and Venus is actually closer to the Earth than Mars is. But Venus is completely uninhabitable. You can't even land on it because of its proximity to the Earth. Venus has a methane runaway greenhouse effect, so it does have an atmosphere. Because, like I said, it is a similar sized planet to Earth, and that atmosphere is toxic to any type of life that exists on the Earth. And in fact,
rotates once every 243 Earth days.
So you're saying on its
day and night.
Oh, so you're talking about on its axis.
Yeah. I was saying, what would have happened to the planet if it had a normal altering axis like Earth does?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would have mattered because the problem really with Venus, I think any type of life that evolves can adapt to different day and night cycles and can even adapt to different year cycles. Because remember, Venus years 260 days, 65 days, so the seasons would be different. But there's really only one season on Venus, and that season is hot and hot.
Except for when it's night, it's cold.
No, Venus is always
never
hot.
cold.
It's never cold. There's no way. Venus is too close to the sun. Well, Venus, because of the runaway greenhouse effect, the sun is super amplified.
They said it probably had water once upon a time.
Probably, and then it evaporated. But I think that the toxic atmosphere and the runaway greenhouse effect.
What I've read is that we have more water than Venus had, and that's why Earth ended up the way it did, because we had more water than Venus.
But that's a complicated question. Where did the water on Earth come from?
Yeah, there's theories about that, from an asteroid to I believe organisms.
Asteroids, because we know that the solar system is made up of tons of ice objects, right?
Yeah.
And all over the place. The Kepler and the Kepler belt, they're all over the place. We're surrounded by ice comets. Not all of them water, some of them methane, but outgassing that the element, that H2O was caught in the Earth when it was forming, and that it was outgassed through volcanic activity, and there's a lot of theories. That'd be a whole nother space talk. Yeah. But where did the water come from on Earth, and where did it come from on Venus? You have to ask those questions and come up with an answer, before you can then ask the question: how much water was on Mars and how much water was on Venus? Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day, what we can take from Venus is that life couldn't have ever, not life as we understand it, not carbon-based life, not life as we understand it, could have ever formed on Venus because of the runaway greenhouse effect and the toxic methane atmosphere. What was the question, Lance?
I honestly think the moon was caused by an international deathquake. Probably something to launch something off the gravitational pull caused it to be a spear. And that happened during Pangea. Harry Potter made the water. Duh.
Pangea went on the
It happened way before Pangea. Just letting you know.
Let's say that theory is correct. It would have to have been way before Pangea for that to have happened, because it would have had to be when the planet was still molten. The whole planet was still happening. Remember, this is a theory. It's a theory.
Everything's a theory because we don't know.
Because we weren't there, but it seems
because before us was the dinosaurs.
The moon is made up of the same rock that is the mantle of the Earth. So the moon is actually the same rock that is in the mantle of the Earth. It's the same rock aggregate. So most likely, what we believe is that when the Earth was molten, there was another object that crashed into the Earth.
Like an asteroid probably crashed in, and that was
a very big object, by the way, much bigger than an asteroid. And those two objects spun a ton of material into orbit around.
It could have
been the Earth, and those two objects collided and became the Earth. And then the material that got
it could have been another potential planet.
Could have been a what?
Another potential planet that was forming that collided.
Yeah, another planet that was formed that collided with the Earth, and then the Earth was formed. You know what? Another theory, which is really I don't think the evidence is there to support it, but another theory is that the moon was actually not formed around here; that it was formed in a different part of the solar system, and that just different gravitational phenomena got it to come closer to the Earth, and then it got captured in the Earth's gravity, and that's how it got here, because it is significantly larger than a satellite should be. It's an interesting theory. I don't think it's correct. I'm more inclined to believe in the collision theory, which is that the Earth was made up of two forming objects that collided into each other during the molten stage of accretion, and that the material that was in orbit then accreted into the moon, and the other two objects formed into the Earth that we have today. And that's why the material that makes up the moon is the exact same material that's in the mantle of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it couldn't come from far away, and it's too close to Earth, like what Earth's made of.
Right. For the gravitational phenomena to happen, to get the moon here, a lot of stuff would have had to happen. That's not to say that it couldn't have happened, but I think your chances are less than yes. You know. Anyway, that's all I really have to talk about. Venus is an interesting subject. I could do a whole talk on Venus. And talk more about
there's other thing too, because I know that we sent out a satellite to record radiation.
We've sent multiple satellites.
I know, but you probably know which satellite that record radiation.
I don't think any satellite goes to Venus.
Where all began, the Big Bang, when the universe was young. I was watching this, I believe in Nova.
The satellites that went to Venus from us, from the United States, were Galileo and the Mariner 10. Mm-hmm. And interesting enough, we have crash landed. We have sent probes into the atmosphere to land on the surface. They last about 10 minutes. No, they work. But they last about 10 minutes.
Doesn't Venus have acid rain?
Oh, yes. Yes. Very much so.
Well,
the probes, it's a suicide mission. So we suicide probes into Venus. They take as much data as they can for as long as they last, which is a very short amount of time. And that's
because it's acid.
Yeah. What were you saying, Lance? I'm sorry, you were saying.
They were saying a probe out to find out the beginning of the universe, and they got radiation recording when the universe was young.
So you're talking about the Chandra, yes, and not the same Chandra from Magic. The Chandra probe.
Yeah.
And what the Chandra probe does is it measures a type of radiation we call background radiation. Mm-hmm. Background radiation is a semi-uniform radiation that we believe has to exist everywhere in the universe. It's predicted by the Big Bang. It's a 3-degree radiation ratio, and there are some irregularities in it, but if you want to measure it generally, you need to have this. So for the Big Bang to even consider it as a correct theory, this background radiation has to exist, because the theory predicts it. The theory can't be correct without it. So we designed a probe that basically drags itself through the system. It's actually in near Earth orbit, and we sent it out to measure if there was actually background radiation in the universe and what that background radiation would be. And guess what the answer was?
There was.
Yes, we found the background radiation, and we found it at almost exactly the predicted rate that our theory of Big Bang predicts.
Mm-hmm.
That still doesn't prove Big Bang is exactly correct.
Yeah.
But it means that we're on the right track to something.
Yep. Well, I think that'd be anything you want to add before we end the space talk?
No, so again, I mentioned this last time, but there's been some recent good documentaries on black holes, and I'd love to talk about black holes. I think they're an interesting subject, and we can bring them up next time. So if anyone wants to read, watch their documentaries about some recent stuff on black holes, do so over the week, and let's have a great conversation next week about it.
Grian says, Moon is made by aliens as a spy device to watch until humans are technologically advanced enough to take a full-blown attack. So in 100 million years, Independence Day will really happen. No more moon.
Well, hey, there is a theory out there, more of a conspiracy theory, but some science behind it, that the moon is constructed by aliens
or made by cheese.
Well, no one really has that. That's a cartoon.
I know, but still.
And that the moon, one of its purposes, yes, is as an alien staging ground for bases. The other theory that goes along with the alien construction is that it was used as a shield, because think of all the meteorites and asteroids and impacts that the moon has sopped up that never hit the Earth.
Mm-hmm. That's what
I mean, just look at it. Look at it, right? It's been hit so many times. So essentially, you build this object that becomes a shield for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It is a theory.
Yeah.
It is an idea. There are some others like it. So let's not totally laugh at the idea of people saying aliens created the moon, because you never know.
Well, we know that Grimm is a reptilian, so.
Exactly. Me and a whole bunch of Democrats, we're reptilians.
Yeah.
There's also, I believe there's a conspiracy theory that aliens already live on Earth.
Might be true. Who knows? Men in Black might be real.
Look, Stargate, the show Stargate, and the movie Stargate are loosely based on actual conspiracy theories of how aliens once were on this planet.
Flying Egypt spaceship.
Yes.
Pyramid spaceship.
That conspiracy theory existed before Stargate. Stargate just borrowed that to create its mythos.
And humans came here because we were slaves.
No, humans have always been here. Humans are from the Earth. Oh, by the way, in Stargate, all humans are all from Earth. Humans evolved on Earth.
No, it wasn't. It was the ancestor that came to Earth. Then they, had that population.
Okay, right. Oh, right. So that was later in the show. So, but right, there was one race of humans on the Earth before us, and then they left, and then we evolved again, and then the bad guys came, they grew old, and then they spread humans across the universe into all these different galaxies using the Stargate system, which was created by the ancients as slaves. Yet all of that is actually based on real conspiracy theories.
I know, Surface Voice. This is a podcast. Game starts at 12 a.m. I'm gonna put one thing, because the only thing I like about Stargate, I forgot. One of the main point is that this guy, forgot the female scientist's name, and her dad has to have a ghoul to survive, and they're like coexist with each other because they fight against the radical ghoul society. And he yells at the colonel. He says, "You always put a freaking United States flag on it and fly off into disaster."
Yeah, I don't remember that episode, but it was in SG-1?
Yeah, it was towards the end of SG-1. It was towards the end when they go against Ball.
Right. Ball was a tricky bastard.
Yeah. Nubis was pretty dope. I wish Nubis could do more fights. Because has the Ascension, he's half Ascension, he's stuck in between. I think how they got rid of Anubis is a little cute, but it was still entertaining. Yeah. But they basically, an ascended being, one of the ancients, came down and tricked him. Because the humans couldn't get rid of him. No one could get rid of him. But yeah. Well, he tricked that same being to make him half ascended. So hey, maybe it's no, he was ascended, and they found out to try to revert him back to the physical form. But he got stuck in the middle, being half.
Right, but he tricked an ancient to ascend him.
Yeah. Then he tried to put him back to the physical world.
I think her name is Oma.
I believe so. Well, anyhow, guys, we're gonna end the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Every Sunday night at 9:30 to 11:30, we do 2-hour podcast about games, anime, what's going in the world, and science. We have an actual professor in astronomy.
I guess I should watch things about black holes then.
Yeah, we'll have 2 new guests.
Holes. I would love to have a great conversation about black holes.
We'll have 2 new guests for next week. It's Amarai Thompson and Strevo. And yeah, they just they want to come to the podcast. I told them next week. We already have Carl today, so
Carl already went to bed because he has to work in the morning.
He's promised he'll be up till 12, but he lied to me.
I feel so sad to hear that.
Huh?
He has to go to work at 7 in the morning. He has to wake up at 6.
Hammer's schedule's all screwed up. He has to get out of the house sometime at 2:15 in the morning. I'm like, holy crap.
That's true. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. We'll see you guys in Minecraft in 30 minutes. Take care, guys. Bye.
Seriously, Minecraft.
Yeah.
You